Hi guys and welcome to a new video. My name is SJ Hart. Thank you for watching. So it's the 10th of December and we're going to continue What Light. Let's start. The elevator is almost too small for us to prop the tree straight up. Caleb kicks the button for the third floor and soon we're rising. When the door opens again, I squeeze out first. Caleb tips the tree forward and I grab it. We carry it to the end of the hallway, where he knocks on the last door with his knee. An angel cut from construction paper, probably by a young child, is thumbtacked to the peephole. The angel holds a banner that reads Feliz Navidad. A heavy-set grey-haired woman in a floral print dress opens the door. She steps back in a happy surprise. Caleb! Still holding the trunk of the tree, he says, "Merry Christmas, Mrs. Trujillo." "Lewis didn't tell me you were coming. I'm with a tree." "He wanted it to be a surprise," Caleb says. "Mrs. Trujillo, I'd like you to meet my friend Ciara." Mrs. Trujillo looks ready to wrap me in a hug, but sees that my hands are fairly occupied. "It is so nice to meet you," she says. While we lug the tree inside, I catch her wink at Caleb while nodding at me, but I pretend not to notice. "The food bank told me you would love a tree," Caleb says, "so I'm glad I could bring it over." The woman blushes and pats his arm a bunch of times. "Oh, sweet boy, such a big heart." She shuffles in her slippers across the dual living room and dining room. She leans down, her belly straining the floral pattern on her dress, and pulls a tree stand from beneath the couch. "We haven't even got up the fake tree yet. Lewis is so busy with school, and now you brought me a real tree." Caleb and I hold the tree between us while she kicks aside magazines and places a stand in the corner. We listen to her go on about how much she loves the smell. She looks at Caleb, touches her heart, and then claps one time. "Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, thank you, thank you." A voice calls from the other side of the room. "I think you heard you, Mama." Caleb looks at a guy about our age, who must be Louis, walking out of a narrow hallway. "Hey, man." "Louis, look what Caleb brought to us." Louis looks at the tree with an uneasy smile. "Thanks for bringing it over." Mrs. Trujillo touches my arm. "Do you go to school with the boys?" "I live up in Oregon, actually," I say. "Her parents own a tree lot in town," Caleb says. "That's where this one's from." "It is?" She looks at me. "Are you teaching Caleb to be your delivery boy?" Louis laughs, but Mrs. Trujillo looks confused. "No," Caleb says. He looks at me. "Not really. I stare right back. "Go on. I would love to hear him explain what we are." He smirks. "We've become good friends the past few days." Mrs. Trujillo raises both of her hands. "I understand. I asked too much questions. Caleb, will you bring me some turon to your mother and father for me?" "Absolutely," Caleb says. He looks at her like she offered him a glass of water in the middle of the dessert. "Ciara, you have got to try this stuff." Mrs. Trujillo claps her hands. "Yes, you must take some for your family too. I made so much. Louis and I are going to take some to the neighbors later." She orders Louis to bring her some napkins, and then she hands us each a piece of what looks like a peanut brittle, but with almonds. I break off a piece and pop it in my mouth. So delicious. Caleb's already devoured half of his piece. Mrs. Trujillo beams. She puts a few more pieces into sandwich bags for us to take home. Walking to the front door, we both thank her again for the turon. She hugs Caleb for a long time after he opens the door, expressing gratitude again for the tree. Waiting for the elevator door to open, turon baggies in hand, I ask, "So Louis is a friend?" "I was hoping it wouldn't get awkward," he says, nodding. The elevator door opens, we enter, and he presses the bottom button. The food bank keeps a list of items where family can mark down things they need. I had them occasionally ask some families if they could use a tree, and that's why I get the dresses. When I saw theirs pop up, I asked Louis if it was okay, but he didn't seem that thrilled. I say, "Do you think he was embarrassed?" "He'll get over it," Caleb says. "He knew his mum wanted one, and I guarantee you she is the nicest woman." The elevator door opens at the ground floor, and Caleb motions for me to walk out first. "She's so grateful for everything," Caleb says. "She doesn't judge anyone. Someone like her deserves to get what she wants once in a while." Back in the truck, we drive to the highway and start heading to the lot. "So, why do you do this?" I ask, deciding the trees are a safe way to inch us into more personal areas. He drives about half a block with no response. Finally, he says, "I guess you did tell me about your trees on the hill." "Fair is fair," I tell him. "Why I do it is similar to why I know Louis will get over it," he says. He knows it's sincere. For a while after my parents divorced, we were in the same boat as the Trujillos. My mum barely made enough to buy us small gifts, let alone a tree. I add that to a small but growing list of things I know about Caleb. "How are things now?" I ask. "They're better. She's the head of her department now, and we're back to having trees. That first one I bought at the lot was for us." He looks at me briefly and smiles. She still won't get excessive with decorating, but she knows the trees meant a lot to us growing up. I picture all those $1 bills from his first visit. "But you paid for the tree." "Not all of it," he laughs. "I just made sure we got a bigger one." I want to ask about his sister, but the profile of his face and how he looks through the windshield appears so calm. Heaven's white, whatever's going on here doesn't have to last past Christmas. If I enjoy being around him, why mess that up? Asking will only make him shut down again. Or maybe, to be honest, I don't want to know the answer. I'm glad we got to do this tonight, I say. Thank you. He grins and then puts on a signal to exit the highway. Caleb told me he would stop by the lot again later in the week. When his truck finally pulls up, I stay in the big top rather than walk out to greet him. I don't need him to know how eagerly I've anticipated this. I kind of hope that's why he didn't come by the very next day. He was hiding the same anticipation. When more than enough time goes by for him to find me, I peek outside. Andrew is saying something to him, stressing points by jabbing a finger towards the ground. Caleb's eyes fixed in a tense stare somewhere beyond Andrew, his hands pressed deep in his jacket pockets. When Andrew points his sharp finger at our trailer, where Dad is inside on the phone with Uncle Bruce, Caleb closes his eyes and his arms go slack. Andrew soon walks off into the trees, and I half expect him to shove one out of his way. I quickly retreat behind the counter. Several seconds later, Caleb comes into the big top. He doesn't know I saw the exchange with Andrew, and he acts like everything's normal. I'm heading to work, he says, and now I know he can fake that dimple smile. But I couldn't drive by without saying hi. We're not alone for more than a minute before Dad sets his work gloves on the counter and then twists off the lid of his thermos. He goes to refill his coffee. Without looking up, he asks, "You here to pick up another tree?" "No, sir," Caleb says. "Not right now. I just stopped by to say hi to Sierra." When the thermos is full, Dad turns towards Caleb. Holding the thermos steady, he slowly tightens the lid. "As long as you keep it short. She's got a lot of work here to do and then schoolwork." Dad pats Caleb on the shoulder as he walks past him, and I want to die of humiliation. We talk for a couple more minutes in the big top, and then I walk Caleb to his truck. He opens the driver's side door, but before he gets in, he nods towards the parade poster I hung when I first met him. "That's tomorrow night," he says. "I'll be down there with some friends. You should show up." Show up? I want to tease him for not being brave enough to ask me to meet him there. "I'll think about it," I say. After he drives away, I head back to the big top, looking at the ground and smiling. Before I get to the counter, Dax walks in front of me. "Sierra." He knows I don't want to hear what he's going to say next, but he has to say it anyway. "I'm sure he's a nice kid, but please be wary about starting something now. You're busy, and then we're leaving, and—" "I'm not starting anything," I say. "I made a friend, Dad. Stop being weird." He laughs and then sips his coffee. "Why can't you go back to playing princess?" "I never played princess." "Are you kidding?" he says. "Whenever Heather's mum took the two of you to the parade, you wore your fanciest dress pretending to be the Winter Queen." "Exactly," I say. "Queen, not princess. You raised me better than that." Dad bows low, as he should in the presence of a royalty. Then he walks towards the trailer and I return to the big top. Inside, leaning against the counter, is Andrew. I walk behind the counter and push Dad's work gloves aside. "What were you and Caleb talking about out there?" "I notice he's been coming around a lot," Andrew says. I cross my arms. "So?" Andrew shakes his head. "You think he's a great guy because he buys people trees, but you don't know him." I want to argue that he doesn't know anything about Caleb, but the truth is he probably knows more than me. Am I dumb for not confronting Caleb about the rumor yet? "If your dad doesn't want any of his workers asking you out," Andrew says, "there's no way he'd approve of Caleb." "Stop," I say. "This has nothing to do with you." He looks down. "Last year I was dumb. I left that stupid note on your window and I should have asked you to your face." "Andrew," I say softly, "it's not my dad or Caleb or anyone else. Let's not make working together any more awkward, okay?" He looks at me and his expression goes hard. "Don't do this with Caleb. You're ridiculous to even think you can be friends with him. He's not who you think he is. Don't be—" "Say it." My eyes narrow. If he calls me stupid, Dad will fire him in a second. Andrew cuts his words short and leaves abruptly. Well, I hope you guys liked it, and tomorrow we will continue and find out what happens. Bye!